Now, I've said this once and I'll say it again, but there are multiple studios within the Hollywood bubble, within the film industry right now, that are in full-on desperation mode. They are really trying to reel back the lost fans, the millions of fans that walked away from these many different studios. The biggest one of all, by the way, being the Walt Disney Company. We know that some studios like Sony, Universal, Warner Brothers, they're really trying to shape themselves up by making different decisions that are going against some of these celebrities that have been getting so much backlash, so much pushback, mind you, while other studios are just really going through these unnecessary decisions. Now, one of which has a lot to do now with the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith drama, and there are, of course, a lot of issues happening between these two that we have to address. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, Sony, they are going through with a Men in Black 5, and I say Men in Black 5 because Men in Black International was a universal failure. Nobody watched that movie with a positive sense. Nobody cared about the film, and so that was basically their take on remaking the franchise, or somewhat rebooting it in a very odd way. But here we are, they are going through with another Men in Black film to star Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith yet again to reprise their roles as Agent J and K since 2012's Men in Black 3. Now, there's a lot of issues going on right now with Will Smith and, most of all, Jada Pinkett Smith making a fuss about multiple different things here. So let's get into the actual meat of this. Now, what's interesting about all of this is that we know that Will Smith was really pressuring Sony in the early, I should say, development phase of Men in Black 5 to get Jada Pinkett Smith involved, because she was really on top of him. She was really trying to force Will Smith to negotiate with Sony to get her a role, and they refused. That was really the beginning of all of this. Now, with the entire media in Hollywood now beginning to lie to the public yet again in a desperate move to stabilize themselves, a significant development that is now active involves more to do with the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith situation over at Sony with the Men in Black 5 drama. This comes shortly after Sony refused to provide Jada a role in the film, where she was trying to piggyback on Will Smith's success and his role offer to return as Agent J. Now, one crucial update that is now going on involves how Will Smith is already firing back at Jada Pinkett Smith after Jada warned Sony that she is now willing to take legal action towards Sony after they refused to put her in Men in Black 5 and blamed it on discrimination. This in turn created extensive conflict between Will and Jada, where Sony executives are now considering dropping Will Smith from Men in Black 5 because of Jada's behavior. Now, this also comes shortly after Will Smith, just 1 week ago, was pushing for Jada to become a part of the film, and the executives would not agree with that, and would not agree with Will on any negotiation related to Jada. As a result, Will's demand of getting paid over $100 million for the role of Agent J in MIB 5 are now officially off the table after all the Jada Pinkett Smith nonsense and the drama actually occurred. And now Sony is reportedly only willing to pay Will Smith, get this, an estimated $70 million for the role of Agent J. Essentially, Will losing out on $30+ million for his payout by appearing in his 4th Men in Black movie, since he did not appear in International. This is essentially what created the drama where Will actually snapped at Jada Pinkett, and of course the drama was so intense that it rattled throughout all of Sony, given that Jada also has connections with Sony on past and other projects that she was involved in. Now, Men in Black 5 is now officially a production disaster, all because of Jada Pinkett getting involved too much with her drama, and it's putting Will in a very frustrated position now that Sony is taking any payout negotiations off the table. It's essentially a take it or leave it scenario now for Will Smith to return as Agent J and to work with Tommy Lee Jones again. If Will Smith does not return, Sony is even, of course, having conversations of focusing on a full-on recast for Agent J, which would likely backfire on the studio coming from the public. Now, Smith is aware of those conversations at Sony, and the end result was that he exploded with anger toward the studio execs for even considering to recasting that role that is so iconic to him as an actor. Now, guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing here, is that at the end of the day, Jada is the one that really started this entire mess over at Sony. I would say throughout the fourth quarter of 2024, development of MIB5 was going somewhat smoothly. They had some setbacks here and there, but now it is pretty much stuck. It is going through a major snag, all because of Jada Pinkett Smith feeling that she had the right to piggyback on Will Smith's success with the Men in Black franchise. And look, I'm not a supporter of Will Smith. I do not endorse Will Smith. I am totally against the guy. I criticize the guy for what he did against Chris Rock at the Oscars in 2022 on live television. I thought that was a ridiculous act on his own. But we know that one thing is that Will Smith has been going back and forth, right? He's had moments where he snapped back at Jada Pinkett Smith. He's had moments where he just caves into any demands by Jada Pinkett Smith. And it really makes you wonder, what's really going on over there in their personal life, right? What does she have on Will Smith? Does she have anything on him? Who knows, right? But focusing on this in isolation, this particularly just goes to show you that Men in Black 5 is really up for grabs right now. Given the fact that Sony is willing to recast the role of Agent J, it really makes you wonder where this is all going to go in the end. Now, in conclusion, this is where it really begins to erupt, is that it even got to a point now where even Will Smith is pushing Jada Pinkett Smith to the wayside and is demanding her to stay silent and to basically shut up and get booted from any involvement over at Sony and the Men in Black 5 project that is now going through so many setbacks. The CEO at Sony is also having issues with Jada Pinkett for actually turning this entire planning stage into a living hell and turning it, of course, into a snag, and created a serious divide between both Will and Jada as a turnout in the process. However, Jada reportedly is not stopping with her demands over at Sony and is unwilling to give up on turning this into a legal case. Now, I think that this is a mixture of things. Jada Pinkett is very desperate. She knows her career is basically over as an actress. Look, she hasn't really worked on many things to begin with for quite a while, and she's had some roles here and there that she was involved in that were massive hits, but really, there's been a lot of roles that she was in that were massive failures, and some of which that she was having conversations with Sony, they just ended up getting shredded to multiple pieces, right? They want nothing to do with her anymore, and she just feels that she could use Will Smith basically as a pointer to get involved in MIB5. And that's all falling apart now for Will, and he's having a lot of issues with that. And you know what? I think that this should really be a wake-up call for Will Smith to maybe call it quits with Jada. You know, I don't know if she has something on him or not, who the hell knows, but whatever case it may be, I think he's got to call quits with her because it's only creating a big mess for him in the film industry and within Sony. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about the whole Will Smith situation that is now beginning to rebound again in 2025. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.